everyone. I'm really honored to be here. So I'm here to tell you that I could tell you right now that my job is the best job in the world, because coming out of COVID, when everything was shut down, there's such a tremendous pent-up demand for real visceral experiences, experiences where people can really feel like they're alive again. And that's my job and my firm's job, to create visceral experiences. We are the largest architectural firm in the world. Last year we worked in over 140 countries, and what we're able to do is take all that data and take all that information and really create the trends of the future and where the design industry is going. Every day my firm makes a difference in millions and millions of people's lives, how they live, how they work, and how they play. As was just mentioned, we're involved in all these different areas, but the most important thing on this slide is, if you're going to a sports event, it's all about the fan experience. If you're going to a hotel, it's about the guest experience, or retail, about the customer experience. If you live in LA, you'll probably know some of our projects. We designed LA Live here in downtown, including the Ritz-Carlton Tower. In Beverly Hills, we designed the Waldorf Astoria, or in Pacific Palisades for Rick Caruso, we designed the Palisades Village. What we did is we came out with these 10 key megatrends that are moving forward as we emerge from COVID. These are the 10 key megatrends. And today, since I only have a few minutes, I'll only focus on really reclaiming experience and what's happening out in the world in experience. So the first slide is really about this idea of bringing people back. People now are coming back in droves. I was just with the CEO of Marriott, and he said they're back up to where they were pre-COVID. So we're very busy designing facilities of the future. Here's an example of 5 Points Amphitheater for Emil Haddad and Lynn Yoakum, an incredible facility all about the creating visceral experiences. Or this phenomenal project in Orange County that Emil was a visionary around, all around creating 2,800 acres, really a city within a city, a neighborhood within a neighborhood, creating incredible visceral experiences, again, about bringing people together from every age bracket, all in a mixed-use community that's walkable and vibrant. And here's an example of the center of that project, which is all about creating these incredible, much like European streets, great food and beverage, great restaurants, great office buildings, all in this incredible walkable environment. A major thing that's happening right now, and you're reading in the media every day, and I'm speaking about every day, is what's happening in office, because people are not going back to the office where they were before COVID. And it's our job as architects to design offices, and it says right here, make the office a destination, a place where people want to go rather than an obligation. So we're designing spaces around the world right now that are around bringing people back to the office, and I'll show you some examples. So how do we rethink the physical workplace? And this is what our clients were saying. We took a survey of many, many clients around the world, 67,000 clients, and what they said is, our physical space is our cultural town center. Collaboration dropped off 40% during COVID. Mentoring and coaching dropped off 60%. How can you have a culture of an organization if you're working from home in your pajamas? It just doesn't work. We did a survey of 100,000 workers around the world, and if you look around the world, in every top category, it says, working in person with my colleagues together. Another one, impromptu face-to-face meetings, socializing with colleagues. So you could see that the idea of coming back to the office is not just about the organizations and the companies, but it's about the people, about the culture of an organization. When we come back to the office, what we've been out there talking about is creating a sense of choice. Much like when you were home and you worked on your kitchen table, or you worked in your living room, now we're taking offices and we're taking the rows and rows of desks out, and we're creating living room settings, different choices for people to work in the office around what they're working on, or creating touchless solutions through your personal devices of how to use conferencing spaces, or wellness and focus in the marketplace. And you heard from the prior speaker about sustainable design. This is an example of an office building we just finished in Hollywood. It's Netflix headquarters, and it's all about creating agile offices. Lots of indoor-outdoor spaces, sliding doors that open up for bringing outside air. Big innovation that's happening right now is using your cell phone to be able to check yourself in, check out conference rooms, order lunch, and you're going to start to see that more and more, and as importantly, for security in buildings themselves. And the biggest thing of all that we found through COVID is everyone wants outside air. Big sliding doors, big balconies, outdoor terraces for collaboration. And what we're finding across the board is these are the types of places that people want to go, whether it's, again, connections to outdoors, or cafes, or living room settings, or connection to transportation. These are the type of environments. Now I'm going to show you some examples of that we've designed. All these spaces I'm going to show you were designed during COVID. So what we've done is, does this feel like an office? No, it doesn't. It really feels like a hotel lobby with different work settings and places for people to work. In Chicago, at the top of an office building, we created this multi-purpose space that also serves as a basketball court. This is the top leasing building in Chicago. Why? Because it provides this unbelievable amenity with views of Chicago there. The Chicago Bulls practice there during the year. This is Uber's headquarters in the United States. Does that feel like an office building? During COVID, we changed the paradigm of the way people work and how they're working. This is a project I just came from this week, and it's Marriott's corporate headquarters. And through huge digital displays, we're able to change the environment constantly to make it more vibrant and exciting. This is a huge trading floor in New York. And you can see on the right-hand side, we're incorporating biophilic design, the idea of incorporating landscaping into design, the complete views of the outside and natural light and natural air. Or here's Verizon's headquarters. You can see again, it's moving away from the traditional office space to more of a club environment. This is Instagram, and I'll talk about really quickly about this being about the culture of an organization. And every CEO that I meet with over and over again is, how can we instill our culture back to our people? Here's Instagram in their lobby. You can kind of get a feeling for what they do in their lobby, in their space. All about the culture of an organization. I'm going to shift quickly to what our learnings were. We did a survey around the world to 100,000 people. And what they came back and said is, here are the 5 big pieces of why people stay in cities. The 3 positives on the top. From neighborhood design, neighborhoods that are beautiful, authentic, and Emil Haddad talks about this all the time, authentic and clean, and prioritize pedestrians over cars, taking our city streets back for people. Positive increasing job growth opportunity. Look what's happening in our downtowns right now, and jobs. Transportation options. Look what happened in New York with the subways that no one's taking, and everyone had to go back to taking their cars again. And then the big problems that have occurred that people are really concerned about. Big city problems, too big, too crowded, too noisy. And cities and neighborhoods that are becoming less affordable. And this affordability is the huge issue going on right now, especially here in the state of California. So through our survey, we found, and this is an incredible statistic, that people's desire to move out of the city has increased exponentially, to the point that 1/3 of people are saying they would move out of the city they're in today because they feel they are mobile. And who's the top rated of that? It's my children and many of your children. 56% of millennials, which dominate the workforce now. 65% of the workforce in the United States are millennials, our children. And 56% of them said they'd move out of the city they're in today to move to another city. What we came up with is this idea, and Emil Haddad is a perfect example of this, of what he did at all his projects, is the 20-minute city. And the whole idea of the 20-minute city came out of COVID, which is that you have everything at your fingertips, whether it's healthcare, whether it's education, whether it's grocery stores, within a walkable city, walkable and vibrant city. So we're not relying on cars. So that the idea that it's all interconnected, green spaces, community gardens, ability of different types of ages in there, housing diversity, all this happens within a 20-minute city. Another example is mobility, a major change that's happening in mobility. And the idea that within, and I'm going to show you another slide in a minute, that from somewhere around 20 to 2035, most cars that are going to be driven are going to be point-to-point cars, much like Uber and Lyft, but autonomous. And think how that's going to change our cities, where we won't have our city streets clogged with cars. The ability that we won't have parking on the city streets, and it'll feel much more urban. So we're working with Uber right now on many projects where there'll be pick-up and drop-off zones in cities, because that's what's going to happen in the future. Or with Uber Elevate, and the idea that you can get on an Uber helicopter and go from one location to another. This is an example in LA where you can be to LAX within 5 minutes from downtown Los Angeles where we are today. I'm going to shift again in the time I have remaining, which is, and you heard it from the speaker before, that I can tell you as an architect, climate change is upon us. And although we just went through COVID and it felt terrible, and we're going probably into a semi-recession this year, that climate change is the existential threat to all of our lives in the world. The reality is, and most people don't know this, that 40%, if I asked you what the top producer of CO2 is, you'd probably say it's automobiles or industry, but the #1 producer of CO2 is buildings. And that's why my job and real estate developers' job is to make sure we're designing buildings that are sustainable. This was just during COVID that $288 billion were spent on sustainable strategies to prepare us for the future. Manhattan, I'll be done in 2 minutes because I know I'm out of time. In Manhattan, all of Manhattan will flood if there's a 6-foot rise in water of our rising oceans, or Miami will completely be underwater. So we're designing projects like this. This is the San Francisco airport, which is completely net zero, not using any energy at all. We're actually giving energy back to the grid. And I'll close on this slide, which is a project that we finished right before COVID. It's in China. It's the 2nd tallest building in the world. It's the most sustainable building in the world. It has windmills at the top to generate all the energy for the building. It's mixed use. It has 25,000 people a day in the building, and it's residential, office, and many other uses in it. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.